I started painting in the streets and writing graffiti in the early 90s. It was about the excitement of that adrenaline of painting in places and to be seen. Some years later I did fine arts and learned the oil painting, but it was completely separate things for me. It was until now in New York that I had that need of putting them together. And at that time I started doing live painting in some live art events and gathering with other artists to paint together. It was usually a theme and tribute to music and dance, which has been always my passion to paint about it. So painting all these portraits of artists, and it was very challenging to paint in such a different environment, and that made me paint in a different way, faster, and at the beginning was disturbing to paint with the crowd being used at the studio, painting by myself. But then I found it really interesting. It was a way to fight the loneliness of the studio, spending so many hours by myself. Suddenly it was my social night. In this show, from Ibiza to New York, I have 45 paintings. Some of them have been created in Ibiza, and the others are in New York. And there is a big contrast between painting in one place and the other. In Ibiza you have this quiet environment. I have a big studio. I have the time seems longer and slower. And in New York it's been more difficult to find a space to paint. Many times it's been in live art events where you don't have much time. There is not that quietness and these long hours of painting. So that was what made bring together. I think it was this combination of this slow traditional oil painting combined with more urban, I would say more urban style, and that brought my background of graffiti of many years. That it was always for me two separate worlds that I didn't want to put together, but somehow it was part of my life, so it was bringing it together made sense here, and it was a need for me to do it. The paintings done in Ibiza are mostly portraits of mythological goddesses such as Tanit, Persephone, Demeter, Hestia. They are all like dancers because it's been always related with music and dance. So are like portraits of nowadays, how those goddesses would be represented. I also do a lot of self-portraits of dancing Buto. The series of geishas that I started a few years ago has been what brought me to suddenly paint the traditional women of Ibiza. Suddenly I felt that it was that a need of showing my own background or roots of the island, and definitely it was for this show they had to be there. So are my first time painting the traditional pagesas of Ibiza.